Hey, you guys, welcome back to Just Sharing with Nine. I hope you all have been well. 2022 is coming close to an end. We are in December and we are celebrating the holidays. I hope everyone enjoyed their Thanksgiving and getting ready to celebrate, whether it be Hanukkah, Christmas, Kwanzaa, or just being around family and friends during this time. Today, I actually wanted to share with you all about my grief journey in the year 2022. Um, this is something that actually my counselor had asked me, when was I going to share this on my page? When was I going to talk about it? And my goal was to get it done before the end of the year. So, what better time than now? So, as I've shared before, I was caregiver for both of my parents starting back in 2016, 2017, I think I shared with you all. And in 2021, due to my father finally hitting that wall as a caregiver, basically, we'll just put it like that, he physically could not take care of mom anymore. Even in the couple hours, like if I was away for work or just doing my own personal thing, it just was too taxing on his body that it ended up sending him to the hospital because he had passed out a couple times. And after that situation took place in March of 2021, the decision had to be made. We had already been talking about, with mom's dementia progressing, her MS progressing, that she was needing 24/7 care. One of the hardest decisions for me to make, because in 2018, when we had set up their estate planning and their final wishes, she didn't want to be in any sort of a facility. She wanted to be with her caretaker, whoever it was, what family member in her house, as long as possible. Well, who would have thought that as long as possible had finally hit a few years after we had made that, talk and that decision in her estate planning. So I was able to find a assisted living in Indianapolis, Indiana, where mom was on the memory floor, which allowed her to receive 24/7 care, and dad was on the first floor with no needs, but in the same building, being able to receive assistance if he needed it. Which, who would have known that that turned out to be what he needed, because there were times that he had some medical stuff going on, and having a nurse right there down the hall was a lifesaver. It was very challenging. My mother constantly asked, when was she going to be going home? How long do I have to stay here? And of course, that weighed on my father, to have to tell your wife of 50 plus years, this is our new home. And the fact that they were not sleeping in the same bed that they had been for 52, 53 years, So that was challenging for him. And me, being the child who made the decision, who was put in this position to help. And yeah, it was very hard. And for those that are caregivers and have been struggling back and forth, I understand what you're going through. It was not easy, and no one will understand what you are going through until they have to do it, if they have to, and hopefully they won't have to. But in any case, the year went on, 2021, and we were able to celebrate, Thanksgiving, a little bit different, Christmas, a little bit different, but we still celebrated being together. Unfortunately, in January 2022, my father came down with COVID, and being that he had been seeing my mom every single day, as expected, she also tested positive. She didn't have any of the common symptoms. She already dealt with fatigue just from her MS, but still ate. Well, at least I thought, right? So she was still eating, communicating as whenever she wanted to. But dad was the one who physically was down and was in and out of the hospital a couple times, just dealing with the side effects of COVID. I literally was back and forth from Georgia to Indiana every single weekend, checking on one of them, if not both of them, really. It happened around the end of January that the nurses reached out to me and stated that they felt mom was declining and it was not a side effect of COVID. They felt it was time to put her on hospice because she was not taking her medication. She was not eating, barely drinking, not communicating, and I believe she had lost around 20 plus pounds over 2 months. So, another hard decision to be made. These dates I won't forget ever. But February 4th, made a decision to have my mother placed on hospice so that she would have additional support. I know other family members and friends that have had to have their mother specifically on hospice, and their mother has been kicking and with it for a couple years. So I had very high hopes, and in trying to say to my brother and my dad, this doesn't mean that she's checking out. No, people have been on hospice. This means we're getting additional one-on-one care directly for her. That's what I thought was going to be the outcome. You know, that's what I hoped for, prayed for. But however, on February 16th at 1:15 in the morning, my mom went home to the Lord. And when I received the phone calls, devastated, to be honest, devastated. I had this feeling, because Valentine's, of course, was a couple days. I was able to video with her due to my best friend going up there and seeing her, and she wouldn't talk to me. I was trying to be like, hey, Mom, I love you. How you doing? And she was just shaking her head, shaking her head at me. And I said, okay, Mom, I'm not going to make you be on here any longer. I love you. And she said, and that's all I got. She didn't communicate much with my dad when he brought her his typical and traditional, I should say, gift of bringing her flowers on a holiday. She didn't hold his hand. She didn't look at him. So he was feeling something. I was feeling something. I told him, I said, I'm coming home that weekend. And he was like, why? I said, I just feel like I just want to be in her presence. I just want to hold her hand and be there. I literally said that to him 12 hours before she passed. I wasn't ready. I don't think you can ever be ready, right? Even when you know someone has a terminal disease, or has a terminal outcome for whatever it is, they're on hospice. You cannot. I don't think you can prepare yourself for when they finally go. And for months after her passing, and I'm saying this now because I've gone through 8 months of counseling, and I had guilt, very strong guilt of, I should have never put her in that place. She didn't want to be there. I should have got home earlier. She died alone. I mean, just everything crossed my mind that I did this. I let her down. This is I should have kept her in the house. I should have not been so selfish, whatever the case may be. Looking back now, the decision, it wasn't mine. I wasn't a part of this decision. My mother was ready. She, when I saw her, looked so peaceful. I mean, she didn't suffer. I can actually say now to people, my mom didn't pass from MS. She didn't get to the end stage of dementia. None of that. My mother was ready. My mother was tired of carrying the weight from the disease that she had and was ready just to be in the arms of our Heavenly Father. My mom chose not to eat. She chose not to take the medication anymore. She didn't like doing it in the first place. She chose not to, drink. And you would think when you hear those things, right, that somebody wasn't eating, they weren't drinking, that when you saw them still alive, that their body would be caved forward, their head would be hung. Not my mom. Even when they would get her up in January and even on hospice in February, my mother would sit in her wheelchair, head held high, back straight, and she would just have her eyes closed. And she would sit there. what could you say gave her the strength to do that? Our Heavenly Father. In my belief, I don't know what y'all's is, but in my belief, it was him sustaining her until it was fine to say, I'm ready. Are you ready, my child? Come home. Um, so February, March, April, May, Mother's Day comes around. Hard time. May is like, I always called May our family's month. First starts with my brother's birthday, then Mother's Day, then my father's birthday, and then my birthday. So everyone in our family gets celebrated in the month of May. That was a hard month because that was the first of first, and it was four things in one month. The first time my brother wasn't going to hear my mom say happy birthday. The first time my dad wasn't going to hear my mom say happy birthday. The first time I wasn't going to hear my mom say happy birthday. The first time I wasn't going to say happy Mother's Day. So that was very hard. Counseling helped me through a lot. I was challenged in counseling to try to understand the stages of grief that come at different times. They don't come in the order that you hear about them. They can come, go, come back, be high, be low, come in the middle of the night, wake up out to sleep first thing in the morning when you're trying to get ready for work. It's disrespectful. How about that? It can come when it wants to. But my counseling challenged me to really try to take a step back and look at how things have been progressing. Christmas, I have this picture of my mom smiling so beautifully, enjoying a Christmas Eve dinner with me and my dad. And by January, the last good interaction was her sitting with my dad. She did get to see my brother and I in January, and I felt that's all she needed. She was like, my kids will be okay. My husband will be okay. I can go. I've talked about in counseling how grief is the one thing I felt she didn't prepare me for. We talked about everything. My mother prepared me to be an independent, strong, educated Black woman. How to handle coworkers, messy coworkers, how to handle friends, messy friends, how to handle loss of boyfriends, first love, heartbreaks, all that stuff. We never talked about how do you handle losing a parent. And peep this, my mom lost her mother when she was in college. My mom is the oldest of four. I don't know why I never asked how she dealt with that. I asked about everything else, y'all. College, job, cars, boyfriends, finding my dad, husband, everything. And so there were plenty of times that I would come into this room in my house right now, which I have set up with things that her and I share because we're in the same sorority. And I was like, you didn't prepare me for this one, sweetie. I hate that I never asked you. I hate that I never picked your brain. I hate that I never sat down and just let you explain to me how you got through this. But I can say now, I know how she got through it. She kept going. She didn't stop. She finished college. She helped raise her baby sister. She was there to support her siblings, her cousins, her great aunts and uncles. She was there. Her dad was still there. She was there. So she kept going. And that's what I have been trying to do, is keep going. Even though I look back over 2022, even though this isn't the end of the year, and I feel like it's been a roller coaster. I've had so much going in my life that I haven't had, I feel, go on 41 years ago. In the last 41 years. This year, 42, baby, I would have never expected to deal with the loss of my mother. I've had 2 surgeries this year. Have to have another surgery. I've had health stuff up and down. I've been managing my parents' home, helped get it finally ready to go and be sold. Closing is next week. I've moved my father from his second basically home. I mean, he grew up in Virginia but lived in Indiana for 40 something years. I moved him to Georgia. Just all these things have happened in this year. Um, and I do wish that she was physically with me through them all. I know that she's spiritually always with me. But I miss that, being able to touch and hold her hand, being able to kiss her cheek, her giving me a squeeze, her giving me an eye roll or a slap to let me know she's still my mama. I miss those things. And as the holidays have approached, I'll give you an instance. Thanksgiving, I woke up and I was teary-eyed. I was crying. And I reminisced on the times that when I finally did cook Thanksgiving, how she sat and watched me. And she did help, and then she just sat back and watched me. But then I also went down memory lane of waking up and smelling sweet potato pie that had been cooked the night before, and the turkey, and watching her just go, go, go. And I'm like, how did you get all of this done? So I got through, right, that morning to be able to smile by the afternoon. I owe a lot to counseling, because when I finally let things out, they came out. The tears flowed. The anger came out. The guilt came out. The feelings of like, yeah, you're going through a stage of depression. The anxiety came out, fearing that my father would be soon next or going because he missed his wife too much. All of that came out. But with counseling, I was able to learn from everything that I was feeling. I was able to learn how to deal with those situations, those feelings. I learned how to talk through those things. I learned how to channel stuff into other things, to get back into doing things that brought me joy and excitement. It doesn't happen quickly for everyone. It might take weeks. It might take months. I learned in counseling that even when I thought I was doing great, I had a dip and I felt like I fell off and I was starting all over. But guess what? I stuck with my counseling and I got back on that horse. And so I've unfortunately had to encourage a friend who lost her father literally 3 months after my mother. I had to encourage my aunt who lost her spouse about 5 months after my mother. And so that also meant my cousins who lost their father, to don't be afraid of it, to seek it. That it amazed me how in grief it manifests itself in other ways. For me, it was a lot of, I'll just be honest, it's my page, right? Indigestion, stomach issues, sleepless nights, anger, disinterest in things that I used to love, right? So, but that was all grief rearing its head. How I told you, grief is disrespectful. It will put its head wherever it wants to, dive in, dive out, create waves, create ripples. And so the purpose, like I said, of my talk today is encouraging those that have been going through after the loss of someone is to get counseling. It does work. I went through a group counseling first, which was challenging because all of the individuals, we had all lost a parent, half and half mothers, half fathers. We were all around the same 30, 40, early 50s age, young professionals, have families, still trying to keep moving forward, right? And I got stuff out of it, but it didn't fulfill me. Me doing my one-on-one and finding the right person, now I can say it worked. I feel like I achieved. I feel like I graduated from my counseling, my grief counseling. And that's why I just want to continue to encourage others. I have a friend going right now, and it's my line sister's husband. She passed, literally tomorrow will be a year. when she gained her wings. And I've encouraged him still. Every time we talk, I'm like, you look into counseling yet? You know? It's not about having someone feel sorry for you. It's about having someone just being there to listen. And once they take everything in that you've shared, to try to help you navigate those feelings, whatever they may be, to help you process. And again, I say all of us are different. I'm not done with counseling in any way because I'm still a caregiver for my father. I'm still having challenges. He's still grieving. So his way of going through things has affected me because I feel at times it's projected on me because I'm now, as he's always said this though, but I'm his right hand now. And so I do take on a lot, and then I have to make sure the energy that he projected, I'm then not projecting it on someone else just because of that, but that both of us are still grieving. It took me a long time to want to do this video, y'all. I'm not gonna lie. And I smile through this video because I know where I've come from and I know what I've been through and I know all the tears that I've shed. And I know that the journey's not over. There'll still be times that it's gonna come up and I may have a breakdown or a rough day or a rough week, heck, even a rough month. I don't know. I have my friends that I look at that tell me it's been 8 years, 11 years since they've lost their parent. It's still hard. They still have those moments. And I know that it's going to be there. I mean, this woman produced me. She carried me, gave me life, spoke so much and instilled so much into me. And I do feel that when she went up, she took a little piece of me. But every day that I see her picture on my laptop and I see her smiling, I know that she's saying, I didn't leave you, baby. I'm still here and I still love you. So if you are, as I've said before, facing your own grief or know someone that has, and you don't even know where to start, here's where to start. Call your insurance. That's one way, right? Or ask your employer about the Employee Assistance Program, EAP. They can help you find a counselor. There's a website, Psychology Today. My best friend uses that. She's a counselor herself. And that's how I started. And it kind of just starts, you can put in characteristics that you look for in a counselor, whether you want it to be male, female, African-American, Caucasian, Hispanic, Christian-oriented, whatever, military background, whatever the case may be. You can put all of that in on Psychology Today and it'll help you find someone. And don't be upset if the first person doesn't feel like you vibe and that you're like, I'm not. It's okay. It's okay. It's like, for instance, finding the right hairstylist. You sample, or the right barber, right? You go and you be like, thanks, but you really not feeling that person. You didn't like how it turned out. So then you go find another one, right? Or let's keep it medical. You go to a doctor. Something about the doctor office, whatever it may be, you not vibing with, you not feeling. So you go find another. That's the same way with counseling. Right? These professionals, they're a professional. You're not going to get along with everybody. So if the first one don't work, try again. That's all I want to say. So, this has probably been my longest video. I don't even know how long we've been talking. I pray you have stayed with me this entire time. I'm going to share some videos, well, not videos, excuse me, some pictures of my golden diva. That's what I call her, because she did achieve 50 years of membership in our illustrious organization of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. And yeah, thank you as always for tuning in to Just Sharing with Naya and letting me be open and honest. And I hope that one of my messages, any of my messages, have helped you or someone along the way. All right, y'all, I'm signing out. You have a blessed one. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy New Year. Be blessed. 2022, I'm out.